The podcast you're about to hear involves true stories, which may contain graphic content that is not suitable for children. Listener's discretion is advised. This is Esoteric Oddities.
Hey guys! How's it going? It is quarantine day number 5,000.
25,600 minutes.
Stop. We are legitimately psychic.
I've been
We're on
having
the same
so
page.
many premonitions, and I can't share any of them because they're all secrets, but I promise you, my mind is cooking up.
It has to be something going on in the fucking Milky Way.
Yeah.
Something's milking up there.
You're not wrong. So, I found the most perfect apartment, right?
Oh boy.
It's in, Rittenhouse. They have, wood countertops. There's 3 floors. The 3rd floor is, a huge closet.
Oh, what? You mean an attic?
Yeah, well, they changed it into, this huge fucking closet, and it's, redone.
Oh, shit. You got shelves. You got put a hanger up here. You can put your fucking robe,
I'm not even
bitch.
gonna bother sending you this house because the shit that I had to do to just literally request a viewing of this place. First of all, they do not let you move in unless both people that are going to be on the lease view the space physically. So they don't even let you have the option of a virtual tour.
Wait, hold on. There's no option of a virtual tour, or they
request that you see it in person before signing the lease. That's a requirement. And they own a bunch of historic, really historic properties in Philadelphia. And it's just this guy and this girl. So very small.
Mm-hmm.
So I go to apply for the, just to view the space, right? That's it.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I am literally sent to this 3-page long application of them wanting me to tell them about myself, why I want to live in the house, who I'm quarantining with, how long I've been quarantining, what are my special skills and attributes that I can attribute to the home to keep it historic, all these things. I felt like I was writing an essay.
Oh my.
It was a lot. It was tell me about yourself. Why do you want to live in this historic property? What are some improvements you make? What are the dimensions to your furniture? All these questions. And I took it as a sign that when my phone died and I went back that everything was erased, that I just wasn't meant to apply.
Oh no. Everything you typed out was gone.
It's just that it makes me so anxious to do all that. I don't know.
I know. Okay. Well, also here's a question that I'm posing because I know Philadelphia has a lot of these and I don't know if you know the answer to this or if it is even a question that I should ask. But I know that, Elfrith's Alley in Philly?
Yeah.
For everybody listening, Elfrith's Alley is I think it might be the oldest street that is in the city. Mm-hmm. And it's a tight little alleyway, and they require everybody who lives there to abide by certain rules. Some of them are kind of weird. I know they have festivals and shit, and everybody who lives there has to do something during the festival.
Yeah, so it's something like that I feel at 27 years old, I'm not ready for that type of community. That's a really big commitment. That's for someone that's 30 and they're established and probably a writer that can write out all those fucking things. Cause
to me, it sounds like if you're going to be living in that house, you're going to be part of a committee or a cult. Who knows? But it sounds, because I know in Philly, because we do have so much history here, I think that's probably what that's about, since it would be in Rittenhouse.
I just decided to let it go, and I can't stop thinking about it today, but also I'm I don't think it's meant for me.
You know it's not meant for you. Not right now.
Yeah, exactly. That would be something that I would do when I was 30. I was I'm a 27-year-old corporate event planner. Living in this space would help me get acclimated with the history of Philadelphia. I literally had
That's
to write
good, though.
an essay.
I like that. You know what we should do when quarantine is over? Can we just take a day, maybe 2 days, and we can just go around Philly and do all of the touristy shit that we see all the tourists doing?
I'm ready.
I just kind of want to do the dumb shit that people do when they come here. I want to see the Liberty Bell. I want to go run the Rocky Stairs.
I'm ready for it. But, like, it was just too much.
That's a lot. That's a lot to do.
But it was only $1,300, and I'm like, how is this perfect place only $1,300?
There's something up with that. That's probably a base price.
You're so right.
Because they also probably want your blood. Like... They're like, hey, with your deposit, can you also send a little vial of blood? It's just strictly, it's what we do. It's a requirement. Yeah, and don't worry about it. Don't ask questions.
I was like, during my time in quarantine, I have really became to love plants and gardening. I will spend my time filling the house with all types of plants and flowers. Like, see,
you got it though. You were not. I mean, you're not lying, but you knew what they wanted to hear, and you were fucking doing it. I would have been pissed.
But I was just like, this is a sign, and it just seems like once they would see me, they would probably see, like, we want someone, like, older to live here. I would rather do that in person.
Do what?
Like, that process. Like, ask me about myself in person. Ask me about why I want to live there in person. Like, I don't want to write out this whole thing for you to possibly not pick me to go on a tour.
Right. That's a lot.
That's a lot. To go on a tour. Just a tour. I'm like, damn, I'm not even applying.
Well, I mean, that's another thing. They're probably like, if you want it, you got to work for it. So you got to prove to us that if you can fill this out just to get a tour, you might just, go into the next round.
Right. So, like, it was just too competitive for me. And I was like, I don't have time for this.
I feel that.
And that's my story about my house hunting journey. It's been hard.
I'm sure. And right now, it's a fucking weird ass time.
I feel like every time I, like, type something in that's, like, laundry in unit, and then, like, my price point, they're like, we can't find anything. And I'm like, how?
Also, I don't know how many people are moving right now.
Yeah, well, that's another problem, because they're not. All the people that did plan on moving are not moving.
Oh, speaking of... my fucking landlord finally got back to me. Hi, guys. This is when we're going to talk about fucking properties in Philadelphia and landlords and shit. But I'll just keep it brief. My landlord, who, if you didn't listen to the last episode, he hasn't gotten back to me in 2 months. Yeah, he hasn't gotten back to me in 2 months. And he randomly hit us up twice in one night. Very urgent. And he called my brother saying that we need to sign the lease he sent over now. And I'm like, bro, you sent a lease to one person who lives here. He literally acted like we had already had a conversation. He just said, hey, he didn't answer any of the questions. He didn't answer any of my follow-up questions. He just was like, hey, folks, need you to sign that and send it our way. So now we have to like comb through it because I feel like the rush is because he might have slipped something in there that he doesn't want us to read.
Did you read it all?
No, we haven't even fucking opened it. Good. But I just can't believe I was fucking fuming. I was a little tipsy last night. It was the first time I drank in a while. So like I was fuming when I got the email and I was about to say something.
Mega fuming.
Mega fucking fuming. Oh, we haven't said that in a while.
Right. I was fuming. Mega fucking fuming.
Oh, classic Vine comedy. Was that a Vine? I don't even know what that was.
So.
But what I do know is that this is Esoteric Oddities. Hi, guys.
Hi, guys. Welcome. Are you guys sick of hearing us say hi, guys?
Because I'm kind of sick of saying it. How did we even get on that? I feel like we just kind of didn't know what to say. So we were like, hey,
it was always like, it's always like, let's just start. Hey, guys.
I also I low-key didn't really notice we were doing it, but we got emails from people and DMs from people who would be like, hey, guys. And I'm like, oh, shit, we do that, don't we? Right. Not that that's original, because it's literally all of every YouTuber's, hey, guys. Hey, guys.
Yeah, but I feel like we do it in a different variation, and it's unique to us.
Yeah, totally. We just do it in a really annoying tone that goes, like, down and then up. Like, hey, guys. Jesus fucking Christ. Esoteric Oddities, like I said, we have a website. Did you know that? esotericoddities.com.
We have merch. Did you know that?
Oh, okay. Yes. Briefly do want to say, I said it a couple episodes ago. I'm going to say it again. As we record this, we're still like quarantining and everything. And I know a couple more people bought merch. One, if you buy it and it comes to you, thank you so much. And take a picture and we'll post you. But also, I know that there are orders, and I'm so sorry, but there's nothing we can do because it's a third party. But there are orders that are out right now that have been ordered a month ago, and people still have not received it. So we are both aware of this situation. We're sorry, but due to COVID and the warehouse where our merch comes from, they're doing the best that they can, but they have minimal staff right now. Yeah, and they are juggling multiple different companies. So...
I actually have a bubbler that's taking 30 days to get delivered too, so who knows what's happening with the post.
Listen, we're all being understanding. At least we're trying.
Yeah.
I found, well, I didn't. My brother found our old PlayStation 2 and Nintendo 64 and Super Nintendo. And I found a Game Boy. And I've been doing I've been doing a lot of shit, but I've also been playing Pokemon Yellow. Can I just tell you, that game is as great as I remember it being.
I'm sure.
Did you ever play it? Were you a game girl?
Yeah, I did. I had the yellow and the red one.
Oh, I love it. I named my arch nemesis Bitch, so Professor Oak always says bitch, and it makes me chuckle.
Cute.
Like I'm a child. And that's
it's
that
little things,
on
really,
that.
Okay?
It is the little things, truly. Okay, so let me just tell you something, and this is going to segue into our episode. But little psychic things been going on here and there.
You've experienced.
Yes. Well, I forgot to mention something in the last episode, and I had other things happen since. So in the last episode, if you didn't listen to it, go listen to it. But I talked about some weird things. I mean, they could be coincidences. Truly, I don't believe in coincidences. It's just way too... The beekeeper and my old neighbor, Steve, like, what the fuck?
That's weird.
So specific.
And the way that it comes to you is, like, so odd. It's oddly specific, and you're like, huh? Okay.
Yeah. But also, like, what does it... What does it mean? Like, does it have to mean something? Because I just feel like if I could, again, get those fucking Powerball numbers, I would be...
Better off.
Be in my... What do people say? I would be floating down Gravy Lane.
Is that what they say?
That's not a thing.
Never heard of that.
Okay, well... Fuck. I would be fucking I would be riding the gravy train. That's a Pink Floyd lyric. That's a Pink Floyd lyric. I don't know what it means, and I hope it's nothing sexual or naughty or bad.
Do you know that song Roses by St. John?
Yeah.
They, like, bleep out roses on the radio.
Oh.
And I'm like, why?
You listen to the radio?
No. In Trisha's car, I do.
Oh, I was going to say, bitch, you in your room bopping to your radio.
Yeah, not ever. You see me turning on the radio from where? I don't even own a radio.
Honestly, I have no room to talk. I have a cassette player in my room that I listen to sometimes because I have a Merle Haggard tape, and it's the certain songs that they actually took off of Spotify, and they flagged them on YouTube. So I can't really find a lot of the songs I want to online.
A cassette player.
I have a cassette player. I got Merle Haggard. I've got David Allan Coe. I've got Dolly Parton. It's legit. It's just all old country music.
Oh, I love that for you.
I don't know why I'm telling that story. Let me get back to what I was saying.
True.
Y'all, I have ADD. I've listened back when I'm editing. I'm like, where the fuck am I going with any of this shit?
Me, when I do research on stories, I'm like, why did I put that there? That could have went there.
It's just like, my brain is scribbles. That's it.
Scribbles and kaboom signs.
Exactly. So anyway, let me rewind because this is kind of serious. So 2 weekends ago, I'm laying on my couch and I'm a little hungover, and I'm looking at Instagram as you do. And on my main feed, I see a post from one of my favorite meme accounts. And the meme itself isn't really that funny, but I saw a comment that was from Slim Jim, and it said 69 because the meme posed a question that was like, how many pictures do you see here? And Slim Jim said 69. So I was like, who runs this account? This cannot be like, they have to be hacked. So I go on Slim Jim's Instagram, and they are not in fact hacked. They just have really good marketing. It's just all memes about like Long Boy Gang. If you know, you know. I'm a part of the Long Boy Gang, even though, I'm vegetarian. What it is. What's up?
I can't. Wait, are you saying this?
What do you mean?
Is this man saying he's part of the Long something gang, or are you saying that?
I'm saying I'm part of the Long Boy Gang, but Long Boy Gang is something that is on there, like, that the actual Slim Jim account, the official Slim Jim Instagram.
With long dicks.
No. They're talking about, like, Slim Jims being long boys.
Oh.
Because you know how they're, like, slim and long?
Yeah.
But they make jokes like that. They make like 69 jokes and like 420 blaze it and like funny, like pushing the envelope for a corporate company. So I'm laying there on the couch and I'm like, I have to find out who is behind this. And I don't know what it was, but something pushed me. I was like, this is funny. I have to figure out who this is. Maybe I can do a YouTube video on it. I don't know. Let's just look into it. So I Google it, and Sarah, I shit you not, the first article that comes up said the name of the man who ran the Instagram account had died 4 hours before I looked it up.
Oh, fake. Okay. Fuck.
His name was Andy Hines, and he had like started, I'm not going to get into details, I did a video on it, but he sadly passed away 4 hours before I looked it up. How strange is that? Like, why the fuck did I decide to, and not to make his death about me, that's not what I'm just saying, that it's a strange situation. Why did it come
up to you at that time, 4 hours after he died?
Yeah, it was just weird because I never would have looked up Slim Jim. I didn't follow them. I didn't know that they were a funny meme account until now. And I don't know. It's a sad story, but
the world is a strange place.
And then something else happened, which is even more oddly specific. Are you fucking ready, bitch?
I'm ready.
So do you remember our episode we did about psychics? It might have been the last time we did something about psychics. It was episode 29. It was a long ass time ago.
I remember.
It came out on March 5th. 2018 is when this came out, and I talked about the asparagus lady who would just toss asparagus and she would read it. She would just toss. It was like her form of like divination. She would just toss asparagus and see the future in the asparagus. And she had some things come true. She had some things that didn't come true. I had mentioned it to Mark, and 2 days later, YouTuber Grace Helbig puts out a video where she tosses asparagus and reads the future in it because she had just found out about this lady. Like, what? Of course it like has to do with psychics, and I
always
like,
yeah.
I don't want to be like, oh my god, I'm so psychic, but like Loki.
But how is that?
That's so Jonathan.
Coincidental.
That's what I'm saying. Could be a coincidence. I don't know if I believe in coincidences.
Yeah, same.
Coincidi. And then another weird thing that happened was a couple nights ago we were playing on our PlayStation 2 that we found. We were playing Tony Hawk Underground, and I matched with this guy on Bumble, and he asked what I was doing, and I said playing Tony Hawk Underground, and he was like, wow, that's really weird. Today I was talking about how I knew I was gay when I was little, and my brother would play Tony Hawk Underground, and I thought that the characters were hot. And I was like, wow, what the fuck is the odds of that?
How is that coincidental?
It's just weird. But again, it could be a thing where I'm looking for coincidences, so I start seeing them everywhere. But at the same time, bitch, I ain't been looking. Like, what is going on? Still trying to get that Powerball. I'm trying to end COVID here, and it's just not. I'm trying to manifest. I can't.
But here
do
we
it.
are
It's not
finding
working.
out about Slim Jim and Tony Hawk.
Yeah. Wow. What an opening to this episode it's been. Hi guys.
Hi.
Esoteric Oddities. As you know,
here.
I'm Jonathan.
I'm
That's
Sarah.
We kind of like let go of doing our introductions for this podcast.
We sure did,
and
because we feel like after 2 years, if y'all don't know who we are, I don't know.
But that little psychicness segues perfectly into today's topic, which is psychics who helped solve crimes.
Woo-hoo. Before we start, can I pee really quick?
Absolutely not.
Oh, well, I'm going.
Okay, bye. So this isn't what my... just really quick before I jump into mine. The first thing I thought about was fucking Alison Dubois, I think.
Yeah.
The girl... Did you ever watch the show Medium?
Yes. No. I've watched Tracy Caputo.
Tracy... No, this is very different. This was a scripted show with
Wait.
fucking... What?
I think I've seen it. Who is it with?
Patricia Arquette.
Yes, and she kind of looks like Mandy Moore.
No.
Was Mandy Moore in one?
No, you're thinking of Ghost with Jennifer Love Huge Tits.
Yes, okay, never mind. That's neither of those people, but thank you for being supportive.
I'm here for it. And also, I don't think that... was that the name of that show? I don't remember. But anyway, Medium was a show. It's a scripted show. Patricia Arquette plays this woman named Alison Dubois. Why do I keep saying it?
Dubois.
Named Allison, and it's actually based on a real woman who was on the fucking Real Housewives of Beverly Hills.
Oh shit.
Bro, I rewatched the scene she was in. Okay, she claims to be a psychic medium. I'm not taking that away from her. The show Medium was based on her, and the person she is in real life is very different than who Patricia Arquette played, because she, to me, I don't know her personally, did not seem like a nice person at all. She was friends with fucking Camille, and if that tells you something, that tells you something. Camille season 1. If you were friends with Camille in season 1, like, what the fuck?
You need to rethink who you are as a person.
Exactly. You're a fucking liar, Camille. I hope somebody out there understands what I'm saying, but I'm just really outgaying myself right now. Anyway, this woman is like drunk and she's like chugging her fucking e-cigarette and she's fighting with fucking Kyle Richards.
Fucking Kyle.
I love Kyle Richards. Well, sometimes. She told Kyle that her husband would never emotionally fulfill her. Who do you think think you are, ma'am?
Yikes. I would be pissed if I was her husband.
Kyle was pissed. She was like, fuck you, bitch. The fuck?
Wait, Kyle Hilton?
Yeah, Kyle Richards, she's not a Hilton. She's on the other side. Her sister is married. Her sister is Paris Hilton's mom.
Oh, okay.
But she's a Hilton because she married Mr. Hilton, whatever the fuck his name is. So yes, but you're thinking of the right person. Paris Hilton's aunt.
Kyle. Mm-hmm. I love her.
Kyle. I love her too. How does she look so good still?
Right? Help.
I just wish she would just fucking apologize to Lisa Vanderpump. Look, we're getting off topic. Let me backpedal. I'm a mess. Legit. Like, I think it's because I'm in my house and I'm not talking to anybody. So when I get on the phone with you, I just want to fucking word vomit and talk about everything. Cheese and rice.
It's not my fault that Kathy won't apologize to Lisa Vanderpump.
And everybody's turned to this off by now. Anyway, let me get into this. Let me just like refocus because this is serious. Okay, so I got a lot of my information about my story from the LA Times, people.com, upi.com, the Oprah Winfrey Show, and a podcast called Crime Over Coffee, who I found while I was researching this case, and they're pretty good. So go give them a listen. Yeah, that's Crime Over Coffee. Love that for them. In 1980, 31-year-old Melanie Uribe was a divorced single mother working as a nurse at Pacoima Hospital in Burbank, California. One day, she did not show up for work. And when she didn't show up for work, Melanie's employer called her house, but got no answer. Melanie was considered a reliable and punctual person, and this was just totally out of character for her. So, fearing the worst, the police were called. Additionally, her two good friends that she worked with had spent the night looking for her and asking around if anybody had seen her. She had a night shift, so she should have been coming into work around 10-ish, maybe a little bit earlier, but it was pretty much, it was a nursing night shift that she didn't show up for. So then there was a report of a black pickup truck on fire that was reported. So investigators arrive and they find that there's nobody inside, but they did find a nurse's uniform. Melanie's friends from work, her name was Sherry Trishelle. She went to the police station after she heard about the news on either the radio or the television. She heard the news and she went to the police station and told them that that was Melanie's truck and that Melanie was missing. Mm-hmm. And the nurse's uniform inside was most likely Melanie's as well. So police had also received a call from an eyewitness who said that he had seen two men get into a truck and drive off with a woman. When the truck was driving off, the men who were in it had pulled over on the side of the road for some reason, sat idle, and then they drove off. So police drive up to where this eyewitness said that he saw this truck pull over, and they found a tissue box on the ground. At first, they weren't sure if it was anything besides litter, but they took it in as evidence anyway. So information about the burnt truck and Melanie's disappearance were released to the media with hopes that anybody would step forward with some sort of useful information that would help this case. 2 days later, at 3:00 p.m. on December 17th, 1980, a 32-year-old woman named Etta Smith was working as a shipping clerk at Lockheed Aerospace Plant. So she's at work and she overhears on the radio this information that investigators are putting out surrounding the disappearance of Melanie. And just the night before, one of Etta's friends had asked her over the phone if she had heard about Melanie's disappearance, and she hadn't. Just going to make it clear that Etta Smith does not know Melanie at all. So on this radio broadcast that she hears at work, police reported that they had found Melanie's truck on a dead-end street and that they were making a house-to-house search for her. And the second that they said the word house, she had this like overwhelming feeling that Melanie was not in a house. Almost instantaneously, she said that she saw this image in her head of where Melanie was. There was a canyon.
So crazy.
I know. There was a canyon and there was a curving road and there was shrubbery and hills in the backdrop. There was some sort of dirt path leading somewhere and she saw something white. She didn't know what it was, but she saw all of this stuff and she saw something white. But again, she didn't call herself a psychic. She had, up until this point, had never had anything like this happen. She just had this weird fucking feeling. She saw this shit in her head the second they said they were searching house to house, and she's like, that's not where she is. But again, she doesn't know if Melanie's dead or alive. She just knows Melanie's not in a house. She's somewhere in a canyon. So at 3:30 p.m., Etta left work, and she could not decide what any of this meant. She had never had a psychic moment, and she never claimed to be a psychic, like I said, but she just had this really, really strong feeling. And as she drove home, she came to an intersection. And at this intersection, if she turned right, she would go home. But if she turned left, she would go directly to the police department. So she kind of sat at this intersection for a little bit, and she contemplated with her internal monologue, thinking, what do I do? If I go to the police, like, what the fuck do I say? What am I? They're going to think I'm crazy. They're going to think I had something to do with it. But along with that, Etta's 21-year-old niece was babysitting her two children. Her two children were 9 years old and 10 years old. And again, this was 1980. They didn't have cell phones. So she would have ended up being late without an explanation if she would have went to the police station. But she felt this push. There was this voice in her head that was just telling her that she had to go to the police. So regardless of what she was ping-ponging in her head back and forth, Etta decided that she was going to go to the police, and she ended up sitting down with a homicide investigator. So Detective Lee Ryan was pretty skeptic, but despite his skepticism, he felt that Etta was credible. He noted her credentials as a businesswoman, and she had top security clearance, and he decided to see what she knew about Melanie's disappearance, if anything. So
thank God.
Right. Etta pinpointed the area where she believed Melanie's body, or Melanie, whether she was dead or alive, she pinpointed where she believed Melanie was on a map. It was on the right side of a canyon going uphill. She just kept saying she could see it. She could see it. She felt like it was a memory she had, but she had never actually been there. There would be a dirt path that was going towards the direction of Melanie, and she would be found with a hill behind her. So the detective was like, yeah, okay, let me think about it. We haven't searched there yet. It was Lopez Canyon in San Fernando Valley. He said they hadn't searched there, but they were going to. Again, she's like, I just have this strong feeling. I don't know how to explain it. And he's like, okay, cool. Thank you for letting us know. We will check it out. They took her information, and that was that. So all of this had happened within pretty much an hour, a little bit over an hour, from the time Etta had even heard Melanie's name over the radio to the point where she was leaving the police station after saying, hey, I think I know where this woman's body is. It was such a short amount of time. It was just a little bit over an hour. So Etta gets home around 4:15 p.m. Her 21-year-old niece, who had been babysitting, was like, oh my God, where were you? We were so worried. You're almost an hour late. And Etta kind of explains what happened, but again, how do you explain that to somebody?
Right.
And she says she has to go see for herself. Now that she has seen on a map where she really feels like it is, she knows how to get there. And she's like, I just have to go for myself. So they all pile into the car, Etta, her 21-year-old niece, and her two young children, and they set off to go to the canyon to see, just to go see God knows what. And now, again, Etta didn't know Melanie. The two had never met. And Lopez Canyon was about 10 miles away from where Etta lived. So they finally get to Lopez Canyon. They're driving for a few miles, but they don't see anything. But Etta could feel like the closer they got to it, she just got this more intense, increasing feeling that they were getting closer. They reached the top of a hill, and they still found nothing. So they decided to make their way down a hill on the dirt trail, and this is when she sees tire tracks that were off to the side of the road. So Etta gets out of the car and she puts her hands on the tire tracks, and when she does this, she gets completely overwhelmed by this dark feeling of dread and fear. She says it's like something she's never felt before, but it was just awful. She knows something is up and that they're getting closer. So about 30 feet away from where Etta was standing was a small path that led away from the main road. I don't even know if you can call the dirt road a main road. It's just it was like a more discreet path, I guess. And now, I'm not judging, but I don't think I would have made this a family affair. Right. She brought her two young kids who are 9 and 10. But they are all walking the path, and that's when her 9-year-old daughter points to something in the brush, and they walk closer to find the lifeless body of a woman wearing white nurse's shoes.
See, Really? At 9?
The landscape had been exactly as it had been in her visions, and the white she had seen in her head was Melanie's shoes. So they freak out. They don't know what to do. They're panicking. No cell phones. They jump back in Edda's car. They drive down the hill to go get help. On their way down, ironically, the homicide detective that she had spoke to had an officer dispatched, and they pass a cop car, and the cop car's on his way up. So they wave him down. They tell the officer, hey, there's a body up there. We think we found her. The officer already knew that Edda had come into the police station. He had never met her before, but he was like, he heard about some quote unquote crazy lady who came in claiming to be a psychic, knowing where the body is. Probably wasn't taking her too seriously, but was dispatched anyway because it could, any leads, right?
Right.
So the officer's like, okay, y'all stay here. I'll be right back. He goes up the hill. He finds the body. He calls backup and an ambulance, and he returns to talk to Edda. He requests to talk to all 4 of them, Edda, her niece, and her 2 children. All of them are taken to the police station. So they're all interviewed, even the kids. Like, she's interviewed for almost 10 fucking hours. And from what she had said to the newspapers, they were not friendly investigators.
I'm
you
sure.
know?
They're probably like, how does this girl know anything?
Right. Exactly. And if a woman comes in and she's saying, I had a psychic vision, and, you know, there's reason to think that she knows something more than she's leading on to. Right. I understand. And we'll get a little bit more into that after the story. But they were like really mean to her 9-year-old son specifically. And it was all essentially the same officer, they were saying, that was being a total dickhead.
Right.
But they're not buying it. They don't think she's psychic. They do think, however, that she was somehow involved in the crime. After questioning Edda for several hours, they have her take a polygraph test. She passes it. However, the detectives told her that she failed it. And a detective's sworn testimony is that she was trying to be deceptive and even attempting to control her breathing while taking the test.
Get out of here, sir. You're making shit up.
I mean, again, put yourself in their positions.
Yeah, it looks sus. But why would they tell her that she didn't pass it when she did? That's like where it gets like, ooh.
You're right. That's like, why'd you have to do that?
Yeah.
Can they even do that? I don't know. It seems like they end up doing some shit that they can't do, but right. So the police believed that if she wasn't involved with the murders, she was withholding information that she knew, and she wasn't being forthright with them, which, I mean, they found the body, but now they need to move forward with the case. They were thinking either she wanted to get like some sort of weird fame from this, or she wanted financial gain, because, I mean, they weren't offering money for information on this just yet. I'm sure they would have, which again plays my head. Like, if that was her motive, if that was her MO, and she wanted to make money off of it. Wouldn't she have
waited until that was released? Like, hey, this is the amount of money, and then went to the police?
Yeah. But they're thinking that maybe that's exactly my point is like, why wouldn't she have waited until there was a reward money posted? But they're saying that she wanted to get famous off of being known as a psychic who found a body, and then she could sell books and movies and shit. So that's what they think, just like off the jump. They're like, she's not psychic. She had something to do with it. She wants to get famous. She knows something she's not. So the next morning, she was formally charged with murder and put in jail. What the fuck would you do? That's like, this is why people don't want to get involved in shit.
Literally.
It's like,
look at her. Now she's arrested.
Again, like playing off that story. It wouldn't have even made sense if she went to the police, told them to search this section of the canyon, and then went to go dump the body where she got, quote unquote, caught by a cop while she was leaving the scene. Like, she would have put the body, if she did it, she would have put the body there, and then she would have, do you know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't make much sense. Yeah. So, again, looking at Melanie, an autopsy determines that the body was in fact Melanie's, and she had been robbed, stripped naked, raped, and beaten to death with a rock or a blunt object the size of a volleyball. Yeah, so besides the fact that a body had been found, no other information was released to the public. So the very next day, the police get an anonymous call from a female who claimed to have the murder weapon. The woman claimed she had a large rock. Again, that information was not released to the public. So it seemed like there was something here, but the woman was anonymous and they didn't really have a way of getting in contact with her after she hung up the phone. On December 20th, detectives receive another phone call from someone who was claiming to know who was involved in the murder of Melanie. It's not the anonymous woman from before, but it is an anonymous male. And he agrees that, like, hey, let's meet up, but I don't want to come to the police station. So the detectives are like, okay, that's fine. Let's meet in a parking lot somewhere. So they meet in the middle, they meet in a parking lot, and this guy gives investigators the names of someone who had been going around town bragging that he had done it. And he was right. There was a couple of people who had knowledge about someone's involvement in the murder because somebody was fucking going around town saying, hey, that girl who's dead, I had something to do with it. So this guy bragging was a 17-year-old named Norman Willis. So they go to Norman's house and they arrest him. He pleads the fifth. He's not talking. He's not budging. But his parents are just like, my son didn't do anything. We don't think my son would do anything, but he's been hanging out with this troublemaker. He's a 20-year-old named Lewis Carnell Morgan. So police look into this guy, and he had an outstanding warrant for a traffic violation. So using that as an excuse, I mean, that kind of worked out in their favor because they could bring him in. And then they start asking him about the murder, this Lewis man. So at first, Lewis denies any involvement, but after hours of questioning, he finally confesses. But he name drops a third person who was involved, a 21-year-old named Spencer Nelson.
Oh my God, there's a lot of, I didn't know there was so much names like being ping-ponged back and forth in this case.
Yeah, there's, name dropping left and right.
Like, it wasn't me, but it might have been that guy over there.
Well, this guy wasn't pointing the finger. He admitted that he had something to do with it, but he said it wasn't just me and it wasn't just the 17-year-old. There's an additional person.
Oh, okay. Oh, so he's saying, like, in correlation with...
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So Lewis Carnell Morgan, this guy, he tells them everything that happened that night Melanie disappeared. So that night, 3 boys, Norman, Lewis, and Spencer, had decided they wanted to rob somebody. Anybody would do, preferably a woman. They didn't know Melanie. She was just at the wrong place at the wrong time, which is fucking horrifying. On December 15th, 1980, Melanie was driving her black pickup truck to go to work when she was stopped at a red light. When the 3 boys approached her truck, 1 on one side and 2 on the other, the doors were unlocked, so the boys got into the truck. That's fucking terrifying.
Okay, that's why I always make people lock their doors, okay?
For real. After abducting her, they drove a little bit before pulling over when Spencer Nelson raped Melanie in the back of her truck, kicking out a tissue box on the side of the road in the middle of it. They then drove up to the canyon, and according to Lewis, here's what happens next. When they got there, Spencer wanted to kill her, but Lewis didn't want to get involved at all. He was like, hey, we were in this to rob. You're taking it too far. Let's just tie her up, steal her shit, and leave her here. And Spencer's like, well, she's seen our face. She knows all of us. You've name dropped us while we're in the car, so she knows at least one person's name. Like, what the fuck? And Lewis is like, no, man, I don't want to do that. And he turns around to go back to the truck. And when he turns around, this is when Spencer picks up a rock and hits Melanie in the head with it, ultimately killing her. Now, police assume now the police, after learning this from this Lewis guy, police are thinking back to that anonymous female caller, and they're like, hey, that girl who said she had a rock is most likely Spencer's girlfriend, if not sister or mom or something. So they find a way to get into contact with her, even though she called anonymously. And they say, hey, if you hand over the murder weapon, no charges on your part are going to take place. Or something along those lines. Right. I don't know how much they were lying or whatever. She hands over the rock. It was kind of a sketchy... It seemed sketchy where she was like, I'll hand it over, but I have to go get it myself. Like, you can't come with me. And for some reason, they were like, okay, cool. We'll wait here.
Yeah, what the fuck?
Yeah, so I don't know what that was about, and I couldn't find much on it after that, but basically she hands the police the rock, which is inside of a pillowcase. I guess that's where they were hiding it, in a pillowcase. Mm-mm. So now the 3 boys are put in jail. They match this rock that this woman had to the damage that is on Melanie's skull, and Etta, who was in jail this whole time, was released on December 21st after spending 3 days in jail for a crime she took no part in. unfortunately, while she was in there, she got dysentery, which is an intestine infection, and she lost 12 pounds in 3 fucking days.
Wow, what the fuck?
Yeah. Etta, I guess after this, never received an apology. Nothing. They didn't talk. They let her out and they never spoke to her again. And in a public statement, the police said they believed she was an accomplice to the murder, so they had a right to keep her in jail.
No, you didn't.
I mean, I know they can hold you for a certain amount of time, but I don't think 3 days is it.
No, and like I don't think they could like hold you on an account of like he's like
suspicion.
Hearsay.
Right. I mean, then again, I just have a fucking podcast. I don't know shit.
Right. When was this? When was the year?
1980.
That's probably why.
Actually, I think it might have been 1980. That's what it was.
We can do whatever we want.
Right. So she decides to fucking sue them. And she was compensated, I think, only like $26,000. But I think she sued them for much more. But they were basically like, well, we kind of had a right to keep you, but maybe we shouldn't have kept you for all that. But she did get some money for it. The case obviously became sensationalized, and Etta ended up on the Oprah Winfrey Show.
Wow.
Where she told her story. It's sad. I mean, I understand that Etta was she was in jail for 3 days wrongfully. But Melanie's dead.
Yeah.
And the research I was trying to do on this case, like Melanie, I didn't get anything about her life besides...
There wasn't even her like early life on Wikipedia, which is like, whoa.
Yeah, exactly. And Sarah was actually Sarah was going to do this story before me, but she texted our little podcast producer and he said, you can't do it because Jonathan's doing it. But yeah, like you're saying, there really wasn't much on anything. I opened this story with 2 sentences about her, and that's all I could find. Because I mean, when you look her up, it's just all like psychic woman, wrongfully convicted for this shit. Which that in itself is sad, but I mean, unfortunately, happens far more than it should.
Right.
And there isn't much more about her life than the sensation around Etta's psychic abilities. Don't know if Etta ever had any psychic ability after that. She said she hadn't really had anything before that, but that is the murder of Melanie Uribe and Etta Smith's psychic vision that led to her body.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so kind of what along the lines of what the police were saying, some people had suspected that Etta knew something about the murder and she was lying about being psychic and she just did all of this for fame. Yeah, but I mean, it's just, I don't know what she would have got out of that. I feel like most people wouldn't want to get entangled in it, but then again, people do crazy shit all the time. Not saying she did.
But I'm like, why would this woman be like so frantic and so like, I guess like empathetic if it was like a lie that she like conducted? Like, wouldn't she be a little bit more lax? Like she went and found like looked for the body herself because she knew that the police would not like hop on it.
Right, and she did say on the Oprah show that she regretted bringing her children with her to find the body. Mm-hmm. Now here's another thought that I'm just having now. Again, I am not saying she did this, but I think back to like the JonBenet Ramsey case where her father had brought somebody with him to find the body, and then he picked her up and he like got his DNA on her. So now there's a reason, he found it with somebody else who had nothing to do with the crime. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? Like when people bring other people around when they find a body. It gets messy because then you're like, well, why did you have to? Because that's what happens a lot when somebody, like, if somebody murders someone and they pretend they have nothing to do with it, they happen to find the body when they're with somebody, or they bring somebody and they go find the body. That's kind of what she was doing here. And in my head now, it does look a little suspect. And I understand the police's side of things, because not only how would the public feel about it? I mean, I think that wrongly jailing her obviously is fucking wrong. Shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
But I'm just trying to wrap my head around the case. Like, but at the fucking same time, right? But at the same time, I was doing, not that this is comparable, but it's just like I was doing the research on Slim Jims and the guy had passed away 4 hours before. Like weird shit like that does happen. And sometimes weird shit like that happens to me. I don't have I can't see anything.
Yeah.
again, it could be coincidence, but it's just, I don't know.
I don't think anything is a coincidence.
Right. I find myself like struggling with that.
I feel like people tell you that because it's like a way to be like, no, that's not happening. You know?
I wrote a line do you remember in my first film? It was like, coincidence is a word people use who don't understand God's plan or something like that.
Yeah, literally. Or don't understand psychics and like supernatural shit.
Right. Because at the same time, are we all not just energy? Okay. Are we all not just living on passing a giant fucking rock, going through space? How do sometimes I feel like we all forget that we've created this kind of world that we live in, sometimes for the worst. Like, humans weren't on this planet, and I don't know where I'm about to go with this conversation, so strap on.
Yeah, but like technically, aren't we in space? I guess not.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we're in space, but like, what is space?
Yeah.
But it's like, how do we know what we are, the full capability of our brains? Like, scientists are like, we don't know how to use we don't have full capability to use our brains. And if we did, it would be scary. And that's why there's chemtrails. And I don't mean to get my tinfoil hat on. You know how much I love wearing that cute little beret.
But still, it makes sense.
Right. It's just like, I do believe in those types of psychic abilities. Mm-hmm. Also, my mom recently told me for the first time that I guess because my grandma passed away back in 2011, mm-hmm. and I guess before my grandmother passed away, she had mentioned to my mom that she had some abilities mm-hmm. to see or get feelings about something, but she had never looked into it because it was very, very Catholic. Mm-hmm. And my mom told me that last weekend when I was telling her all the weird shit that was happening. So I don't know. I believe in it. People can say it's phony.
Skipped your mom, went to you, I believe.
Yeah, I don't know. But, and here weird. I am making this case about me. I'm not trying to do that, but I know I do that a lot.
Listen, I make everything about me because I don't know how to talk about anything else but myself.
That's my sad story, and I'm going to go ahead and take off my tinfoil hat before anybody unsubscribes.
Yeah, you better do it.
But really quick, before we jump into your story, for our listeners, hit us up with an email, Esoteric Oddities. Nope, that's not it. Backspace. It's odditiespodcast at gmail.com.
And hit us up and let us know.
Yeah, let us know if you've had like weird psychic moments or whatever. Let us know if you think it might be psychic, if you think it's just coincidental, but weird shit that's happened to you. And maybe I'll read it on the next episode.
Please
Sarah,
write
or I will read it on the next episode.
I am so bored. I need something to do with my time.
You got a story for us?
At 11:45 a.m. on Sunday, August 4th, 2002, Jessica Chapman left her home on Brook Street in Soham, Cambridgeshire, England. I feel like England always adds shire to things. And I'm like, why not just call it Cambridge?
Yeah.
Anyway, Jessica leaves her home at 11:45 on Sunday, August 4th, 2002. She's going to her friend Holly Wells' home for a barbecue. Jessica only lived a couple blocks from Holly, so her parents didn't feel a need to, like, take her there, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Before Jessica left her house, she told her parents that she wanted to give her friend a necklace engraved with the letter H that she had purchased on her recent family trip to Menorca.
That's cute.
I know, right? So Jessica, she goes out, she gets her friend Natalie Parr, and Jessica, Holly, and Natalie play computer games and listen to music for half an hour before Natalie Parr goes home. By 3:15 p.m., both of the girls changed into a Manchester United football shirt. One was Holly's, and then the other was her older brother Oliver's. At 5:04 p.m. that day, a photograph of the two girls were taken by Holly Wells' mother before they ate their little barbecue food. And at 6:10, they returned to playing in Holly's bedroom. And at 6:15, the two girls left Holly's house without telling anyone because they wanted sweets from a vending machine at a local sports center.
Oh.
At 8 p.m., Nicola Wells enters Holly's room, and she wanted to basically tell the girls to say goodbye to her friends, but only to discover that both were missing from her home. So her and her husband, Kevin, yes, they searched the home in nearby streets, and minutes after the daughter's curfew at 8:30 p.m. passed, this is when she calls Jessica Chapman's parents to determine if they had went there. I guess they weren't going to, like, freak out, but when the curfew
they were
hit,
just like, hey, we don't know where the kids are. Are they at your house?
Right. They were becoming concerned that their daughter didn't return home either. So at 9:55 p.m., that's when Wells and Chapman were technically reported missing. Police immediately launched an intensive manhunt to locate the missing girls. Over 400 officers were assigned full-time to search for the girls. These officers conducted extensive house-to-house searches across Soham. Their efforts to search, like, for local gardens and things like that. And they also got hundreds of volunteers to also check, like, woods and things like that.
Yeah, just do, like, a massive search looking for these little girls.
So the police released the photograph that Nicola Wells actually took of the girls that day, less than 2 hours before their disappearance, basically depicting the both girls, and that they were wearing the Manchester football shirts.
I mean, that's good, though. At least, like,
it's like
this is exactly what they were wearing.
This is what they would be wearing. Yeah. It's ideal in this bad situation.
It's sad, but, like, she has to feel so on top of, like, the dread and the worry that's going on because her daughter and her daughter's friend are missing.
Yeah,
like, the guilt she
account.
probably feels. That's, like, really not her fault.
No way. So a physical description of each girl was also released to the media. They described both girls as approximately 6'4" and slim.
Wait, what?
4'6", not 6'4".
Okay.
I think I'm dyslexic.
That's okay.
Jessica Chapman was described as being tan with shoulder-length brown hair, and Holly Wells was described as being fair-skinned with blonde hair. The parents of both the girls were adamant that their daughters had been weary of talking to strangers, and they warned them not to trust people that they didn't know. So they were like, we know that whoever it must have been someone they know, because they would not have talked to a complete stranger. Several members of the neighborhood reported seeing the girls in the earlier in the day, and one individual, Mark Tuck, he told investigators that he had driven past the girls on Sand Street at approximately 6:30 p.m. on August 4th, and it was because he saw their Manchester shirts, and he told his wife, Lucy, look, there's two little buckums over there.
Oh.
Right. And a younger girl by the name of Karen Greenwood also reported seeing the girls walking arm in arm along College Road approximately 2 minutes later. And another woman living in a nearby village claimed that she had seen the two girls, and the clothing matched the Manchester shirts that they had been saying that she was wearing. They also, police also received statements regarding a white van that had been seen on the evening of their disappearance. But investigators located and took that vehicle away on August 7th, so that wasn't really a part of the investigation. On August 12th, that's my birthday, y'all, police launched a media appeal to trace the driver of the four-door dark car seen struggling with two girls by a taxi driver who stated that he had observed an individual basically, like, thrashing his arms, so, like, basically, like, trying to put them down to contain two female children inside his vehicle. And then the following evening, a jogger alerted the police about two mounds that were recently dug up at Warren Hill, but it was determined that those mounds were done by animals.
Oh, thank God.
But we do have this green car that this taxi driver does think that he saw a man and two girls, and they were struggling in the backseat.
Mm-hmm.
One individual who claimed to talk to the girls immediately before their disappearance was 28-year-old Ian Huntley. He informed investigators on August 5th that he had basically talked to them briefly on his doorstep the previous afternoon. According to Ian Huntley, Wells and Chapman had briefly asked if his partner, Maxine Carr, had been successful in a recent application for a full-time teaching position. at their school. So he knew his girlfriend because she was like an assistant teacher at their school.
The little so the little girl. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So this man's girlfriend
is their teacher.
The two little girls' teaching assistant or teacher.
Yes.
Okay, I don't like where this is going.
So he basically said that she was unsuccessful, and one of the girls said, "Tell her we're sorry," and before they walked away.
Oh, shit.
But the police were really suspicious of Ian Huntley. His house was searched by a single police officer on August 5th, but they didn't find anything. He did notice a lot of clothes on the washing line, but like that's not really something that you can be like, you have a lot of clothes that you're washing, you know?
Yeah.
But the one thing that the officer stated that was weird is it was raining when the clothes were put out.
Oh. Mm-hmm. Not defending him, but I feel like my stupid ass, if we still had to hang our laundry outside to dry, I would totally forget.
Yeah. So Ian Huntley, he was a little bit of a weirdo. He had a lot of successful relationships, but often jumped around from city to city with any girl that like he was with, and in a matter of 2 weeks he would move in with them.
Oh.
Yeah.
Let's not rush things.
Yeah.
Let's just slow it. Let's, slow down, grab the wall, wiggle like you finna make your hair fall off.
Well, he was known to date underage girls. So one of them was 15 and he fathered a daughter with in 1998.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but in 2016, his daughter, Samantha Bryan, she revealed that she had accidentally discovered his identity while working on a school project when she was 14.
Whoa.
Imagine that.
You talked about this before with...
I'm saying, it's crazy.
Was it Mary Bell?
Yes.
Fuck that bitch.
A later claim revealed that between 1995 and 2001, Ian Huntley had sexual contact with 11 underage girls, ranging
Jesus
between
Christ.
11 and 17.
That's fucking disgusting.
Yeah, and on January 7th, 1998, he appeared in court. He was charged with robbing a neighbor's house, and in May 1998, he was charged with the rape of an 18-year-old girl in Grimsby. But neither of these cases got to court because there was a lack of evidence, but the rape allegation did taint his reputation.
Well, I mean, I'm going to believe them.
Right. So one day later, on August 6th, Ian drove from Soham to Grimsby to pick up Maxine Carr, his girlfriend. Shortly before the two returned back home, a neighbor of Maxine's mom, so he's going to pick her up at her house. She was never home on the day that the
girls disappeared?
Yeah.
Okay, so Maxine Carr, that is the teacher, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So a neighbor of Maxine's mother named Marion Cliff saw the couple standing by the trunk of their car. According to Cliff, Huntley was pale and shaking and had simply gazed for several moments. And Maxine stood along him. Her head was burrowed and she was crying. When Huntley became aware that this person was watching, he closed the trunk really quickly.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. On August 16th, 12 days after the two girls' disappearance, Huntley and Carr were first questioned by police. Both were questioned for approximately 7 hours. Each provided formal witness statements to investigators before being placed in a safe house in a village nearby. By this date, police had received information from several Grimsby residents who had recognized Huntley in the television interviews, and these individuals recall that he had been accused of rape several years earlier. And then it says that Maxine Carr was socializing in Grimsby on the night that the girls disappeared, and she was not at home with Ian Huntley.
Oh, so she was socializing.
Yeah.
Okay, alibi. I see through it.
Look at her. So, suspecting the children had been kidnapped, investigators questioned every registered sex offender in the area, over 260 registered sex offender across the UK, including 15 high-risk pedophiles were also questioned, but they were eliminated. Police also investigated the possibility that the girls had arranged to meet an individual via chat room, but that was, like I said, their parents were like, no, that has never happened. They would never do that.
I remember that when the internet was coming out. back in like the early 2000s, and it was like, chat rooms are scary, don't do it.
Right, they are scary.
They are fucking scary.
On August 8th, CCTV footage of the girls recorded minutes before their disappearance was released to the public. This footage depicted that the children arrived at the sports center at 6:28. A televised reconstruction of the children's last known movements was also broadcasted nationally on August 10th, and both sets of the parents basically conducted an interview to basically say, like, listen, our children are missing. If you know anything, please let us know. So they received well over 2,000 phone calls and tips from the public with information about their whereabouts. And a candlelit vigil was held by the community on August 7th. So here's where my psychic comes in. He has a book that, like, is
I totally forgot that that's what our topic was. Sorry.
The Psychic of the Shoham murder. So, like, it's not clear of the connection the families had with Dennis McKenzie. This is the psychic who helped them. It's not very clear of the story because he wrote a book about it but didn't really, like, make any articles. But it is said that the family contacted Dennis for answers. He saw that the girls were dead in a 5-foot dirt mound, and that a man and a woman who he was able to describe to law enforcement in great detail was involved.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, so just hours before the discovery of the bodies, Ian and Maxine's lives became to unravel. As police became really suspicious because everyone kept mentioning him and how he liked younger girls and how he was the last person to talk to them. So the couple were arrested on items of major interest being found by the police in Soham, where Ian worked. These items of interest turned out to be the remains of Holly and Jessica's burnt Manchester United tops.
Oh, shit.
I sent you a picture of that, by the way.
Okay.
At approximately 12:30 p.m. on August 17th, a 48-year-old gamekeeper named Keith Prayer discovered the bodies of both girls laying side by side in a 5-foot-deep ditch close to a pheasant pen near a perimeter fence. The location was more than 10 miles east of where the girls were from. Prayer had noticed what he later described as an unusual and unpleasant smell. So basically, he said he smelled this several days before, and he returned to the area with 2 friends on August 17th, and he decided to investigate what the smell was. So he's walking through very, like, overgrown pastures, and this is approximately, like, 600 yards. But Prayer and one of his friends, Adrian Lawrence, discovered the children's bodies. Lawrence then basically yells at his girlfriend, Helen Sawyer, and says, like, don't come any closer, get back in the van, and that's when he alerted police. Both Jessica Chapman and Holly Wells have been missing for 13 days when their bodies were found, and both corpses were badly decomposed. It was clear that they were attempting to destroy evidence because both of the bodies were attempted to be burned.
Oh, shit.
And no clear footprints were discovered at the crime scene, but it's later said that they both died from asphyxiation, and Chapman's Nokia phone was switched off at 6:46 p.m. So this is what actually happened. Ian Huntley lured Jessica and Holly in on August 4th at 6:15 when the 2 girls left the Wells residence to purchase the sweets from the vending machine. While walking back home, Wells and Chapman walked past Ian Huntley's home, and he lured the girls into his house, stating that his girlfriend, Maxine Carr, was also present in the house. But as I said earlier, she was visiting her mom. It's not really clear what happened after that. Huntley claims to have been cleaning his dog at the time, and the girls passed by his house at 6:30, and that one girl had a nosebleed. By August 12th, investigators have established sufficient physical evidence from Ian's home and his vehicle to charge him with 2 counts of murder. He was formally charged with these offenses, and all the hearings against him were postponed because they needed to assess his mental health. You hear Charlie?
I did.
He's downstairs in my kitchen window.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. Maxine Carr was also charged with attempting to help Ian basically hide the evidence, and she was further charged with 2 counts of assisting a murder on January 17th, 2003.
Good.
Okay.
Like, she was there, a teaching assistant or teacher, whatever the fuck she was. Like, kids depend on adults like that to feel safe around.
Yeah,
like, that's somebody
safe.
you trust.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
So while being held at Holloway Prison, Maxine Carr regularly asked how Ian Huntley was, and is known to have wrote several letters in which she professed her love to him, and it is said that she severed all ties with Huntley in December of 2002.
Bitch.
Right.
I don't give a fuck.
Okay, so now we're going to go into Ian Huntley's mental state. To determine Huntley's state of mental health, he was detained under Section 48 of the Mental Health Act for almost 2 months at this hospital. Here, his mental state was extensively assessed by Dr. Christopher Clark to determine whether he suffered from any form of mental illness and whether he was mentally competent to withstand trial.
Well, he's a fucking child predator. He's a rapist.
Okay.
And he's a murderer. So, personally, don't give a fuck. I think the same should be done to him. An eye for an eye.
Right. So, Clark basically said that in October, although basically his mental state, he didn't suffer from any major mental or psychotic illnesses, and on October 8th, he was deemed mentally competent to withstand trial.
There you go. Go ahead. Fucking, what do you have to say for yourself?
Yeah, so he is facing a life sentence, and he was transferred to a segregation unit at Woodhill Prison because he's a rapist. And on June 9th, 2003, he attempted suicide by consuming 29 antidepressants, which he was holding in a cell. Although the staff initially feared that Huntley might die as a result of this overdose, he returned to his prison cell within 48 hours, and he was transferred to a different prison. And that is the story of Jessica Chapman and Holly Wells.
That's fucked up.
Uh-huh.
That's awful.
Yeah.
That man doesn't get to take his own life. He doesn't get to do that.
Right? I was so pissed by, like, why is that always a thing?
Because it's an easy way out. It's just like, it's how you do. I mean, in this situation, I'm not saying suicide in general. Please, let me just make that clear. I'm not saying suicide in general, but I'm saying when it's somebody who's done shit like this and you get caught and you don't get to do that. You don't get to take your own life. You've taken the life and the innocence of far too many children. You get to fucking rot in prison and deal with those demons for the rest of your life while people hopefully beat the shit out of you. Question. The psychic guy, did anybody question him as to like how he knew this?
So I'm not really sure, only because like I said, I couldn't really find much on like what actually happened. He has a book on Amazon. I linked you to it.
Okay.
And they'll be posted in the show notes, but like that's really all I could find, and like the little like clip that he told them, like, these girls are dead. They were killed by this man and this woman, and then he gave a description of them. Right.
That's so sad.
Mhm.
Man, you gotta stop doing stories about kids.
Okay, I don't know why this keeps happening.
At least there's some form of justice, but damn, that shit's gotta weigh hard on the families.
Yeah, exactly.
I can't even imagine. On a lighter note, do you have a fun fact and a tweet of the week?
I have a tweet of the week, but I also want to know why Doja Cat is over party is trending.
Right now?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
So my tweet of the week is from Monty at Melanated Mama. She says, "There's no point in holding resentment or hate in your heart. It's okay to be angry, but holding on to it only disturbs your peace, not theirs. It's energy spent obsessing over some past situation. There's no time for that. When you got bigger things to do, release that, okay?"
Amen. But at the same time, sometimes it is so hard.
It's so hard to let it go.
It is. I really struggle with that. Like, truly. I don't really hold grudges. But, I mean, there's certain situations in my life, I'm sure you can figure out, that, like, it's not easy to let go of shit. So my tweet of the week comes from Ruth_A_Buzzy. And she says, marijuana is legal and haircuts are against the law. It took half a century, but hippies finally won.
True.
For those of you listening to this in the future, we are currently in a global pandemic and can't get haircuts. My hair's so long, I'm ready to shave it off. What do you think?
You're giving me Jonathan Van Ness vibes.
With what I said or with how I look?
No, with your hair.
It
and
is.
your beard.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's long. I look like Jesus. I know. It is me. I have come to save you. So then my fun fact is there are more possible iterations in a game of chess than there are atoms in the known universe. I feel like we may have shared that before, but that blows my mind. I cannot compute. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Fun facts don't count. People don't even remember those. They remember stories we did, but not like...
Yeah, fun facts we can repeat.
Yeah.
But isn't that insane? That can't be a fact. I mean, it is because I read it on the internet and everything's a fucking fact. Show me the fucking Carfax. I'm going to read it again. There are more possible iterations in a game of chess than there are atoms in the known universe.
How?
Like what? That's what I'm saying.
I don't think that's true.
I don't think that's true either. Have you ever played chess?
I don't want to.
Is that a yes? But
I've never played. It seems like very like serious and like quiet. I would just never be into it.
Two things you can never be.
Literally.
I can't. That's so true though. I could do checkers. Like,
yeah, I love
checkers. Yeah, fuck me up with Go Fish. Let's goddamn do it. Mancala, you want to play? Let's do it. But I can't do checkers. Chess. I can't do chess.
No chess, please.
With that being said, thank you guys so much for listening. If you would like bonus content, head on over to esotericoddities.com, and there's a tab at the top that says bonus content for just $5 a month. You can get all of our backlog to our bonus content, as well as the ones that we will continue to put out. Thank you to our patron supporters.
Currently,
we greatly appreciate y'all. Truly, we couldn't do this show without you. We get it. If you don't want to do that, it's something you're not interested in or you can't right now, totally understand. If you could leave us 5 stars and a good review on iTunes, on Apple Podcasts, that helps us more than you know. Thank you to those of you who have done it. So until next time, thanks for listening.
Thank you guys.
Bye.
Bye.